So you may be wondering what kind of contraption I'm wearing on my head right now. We're at the NeuroSky booth here at GDC to find out a little bit more about a game that's using this device that's called Throw Trucks with Your Mind. Very sort of, well, you mentioned it yourself, the name of such a game. How could it not be exciting, right?
Well, I'll imagine for a moment if every game was called its core game mechanic, would it still sound fun? Modern Warfare becomes look at people you want to die until they die. Hey, Gears of War becomes peeking over chest-high walls. Throw Trucks with Your Mind is Throw Trucks with Your mind. And I think being able to name it after its core game mechanic shows a lot of potential fun to it.
So can you tell us a little bit what's the basics of the game, even though it's kind of self-explanatory, but how this device comes into it and what players will be experiencing?
Sure. I went with the standard first-person shooter controls because I wanted the game to be as easily accessible as possible. So you move around with the keyboard, or you select your powers with the keyboard. You aim your powers with the mouse. But how strong your powers are is controlled by how focused and calm you are, which the headset reads. It's bringing this powerful immersive experience that you just can't get in most games.
So you took to Kickstarter like so many other indie developers have done, and you got a very positive response there. What was that experience like? Because there aren't a lot of sort of gamer-focused games with this kind of device.
I would say it was actually more hellish. I put my heart and soul into this thing for about a year and a half, and everyone I showed it to loved it. So I started the Kickstarter thinking it would be great and everyone would love it. And I was met with this overwhelming skepticism and disbelief because apparently the project sounds like it's 15 years out from the future. And one blogger actually accused me of lying about everything in the video. I responded to him, explained why everything he thought in the game he thought that was suspicious in the video was the way it was, and sent him a video of me walking through the game, showing how it worked. And I won him over, but it's still really hurtful to get all this skepticism and how every single news article that was published on the game, and there was always a bunch of people in the comments saying that it was a hoax. On top of that, that's the only way I was able to really drive donations beyond my circle of friends and people who knew me and knew that it was real was to go to entrepreneurial meetups and do live tech demos and get people to check it out from there. I was doing 2 to 3 meetups a night, demoing for or at least 20 people per meetup, and I'm a pretty severe introvert, so I have not been that exhausted in a very long time.
I would think that a place like, for instance, PAX would be a brilliant place to introduce gamers to this kind of concept.
Yeah, if I had thought ahead and realized about the skepticism, I would have planned ahead or changed the timing so that it would overlap with the convention, or also do that here.
So when you were trying to get me sort of aligned with this contraption, sort of. Can you tell us a little bit how this works? Because apparently you didn't detect my brain at first. So
not at first. The human skull puts a lot of noise into the signal, so you're trying to read surface voltages in the brain through armor, or that makes it really hard to. And for some people, I have to find the right spot on the forehead to get signal. The first thing I'm going to be implementing in this game, and aside from what I have here, the skeleton, is an actual tutorial to help you find the right spot for you, because you shouldn't need my help with that. It should be very easy, and I feel terrible whenever it doesn't immediately work for people.
Is it something that you're also working with NeuroSky on, sort of making sure that it's more easy to use the device?
Yes, they've been working to make the hardware more reliable. This is one of the newer pieces of hardware, which gets signal on people so much better than the first gen hardware.
Because I tried one of these like 2 years ago. I think it was a simple game where you focus to shoot something, and it seems that it's evolved quite a lot in those 2 years.
What, you mean the headset?
Yeah. Technology.
It's more the application, and NeuroSky has just been refining and getting rid of all the pain points. There are still a few. With my first gen headset, I had about a 2% failure rate. With the second gen headset, that dropped to 1%, and NeuroSky is continually trying to improve that. Another problem is the stiff arm that touches your forehead. That's going to be replaced with a flexible arm, which will get rid of so many ergonomics issues.
You had one of those sort of warnings coming up on screen as well, like now you played 5 minutes. Is this kind of game that you need to have that in there? Or?
Oh no, that was just the timer on the default level.
All right.
Well, if I open a level, it gives you 20 minutes to play. I haven't fixed that yet. Most people cannot play for more than an hour initially because it's so mentally exhausting. Because the core game mechanic is flexing a muscle you didn't know you had. Yeah. But as you do this, you get better at it. The more you play, the longer you can play, the better your mental endurance. It has incredible therapeutic benefits. But that's not my goal. My goal is to make the most fun game you've ever played.
So
I always sacrifice therapy for fun.
Well, I mean, we take any sort of pain to have fun, right? But when you see people playing this, it's just funny to see them play it because of the facial expressions and when people are focusing. That's got to be rewarding to see players getting into it because you really have to cut everything out on the outside to get into it.
Yeah. One of the most exciting things in the game for people to play is the most boring for other people to watch. Yeah. When two people get on opposite sides of the truck and you see the truck rocking back and forth, or depending on who's focusing harder, both players just go. Oh, and everyone and nobody sees anything. Nobody who's watching the game sees anything interesting. But for them, it is the most amazingly exciting thing in the game.
Did you ever think of implementing like a camera so you can see your opposing player and see how he looks when he's focusing?
I don't want to overload the player with too much information because already the core thing that they're doing is.
Then you're taking away from that focus, of course.
Yeah, I want to make it easy to tune things out. One of the things that needs to be done is particle effects in the game to show you how strong your powers are and how strong other people's powers are. Because right now it's really hard to tell if you just can't move an object or if someone is opposing you.
So what's the roadmap ahead for you? What's left to do and sort of how do you, when will we sort of get the full version of the game?
The game will be released before March 30th, 2014. We are going to try for an earlier release, but we will always push back on making sure we deliver a finished product.
And what's left to do in there? What kind of things? What do you want to work on still?
What I have right now is a proof of concept. You can play the game, you can play it in multiplayer. It proves that it's fun. And what I don't have is detailed game modes. It's the multiplayer types, the tutorials to teach you how to play, the friendly anything at the beginning to help you find the spot on your forehead to get signal. Oh.
So what kind of game modes are you thinking of? Do you have any ideas for that?
I want to target traditional hardcore gamers because I think they are currently starved for a new gaming experience. Like, can you tell me the difference between any of the modern warfare games?
Oh, that's a really tough question. Now I need to focus. Well, I do believe they more bigger.
But the story changed a little bit. It's
the story. I don't care about the story.
It's more grandiose, but it's the same damn game over and over and over.
And a lot of people want that, but a lot of people want something new as well.
There's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with the grilled cheese sandwich. It's delicious, but you also want variety.
All right. Thank you very much for your time.
No problem. Thank you for interviewing.